One of the reasons you probably purchased the Husqvarna Viking Designer Epic 3 was because it has so much space to the right of the needle. So if you're using it for free motion quilting, this extra space is going to make some of those larger projects be easier to quilt. So what I'm going to do is show you the free motion quilting settings this machine has built in and how to get ready to free motion quilt on the Husqvarna Viking Designer Epic 3. Hi, I'm Sarah from sewingmastery.com, and we're doing all the free video tutorials on this beautiful machine. And you will find a complete playlist of all the videos we've done in the description below or at the end of this video. You can click on it and start playing from the beginning. Plus, we have tons of online courses, and I love to free motion quilt our Stitching Cosmos course. That is the amazing course. It's over 7 hours long of mastering the sewing side of this machine. And free motion quilting is near and dear to my heart. I don't use a long arm, so I'm always sitting down at a machine and doing it. So I'm going to tell you a couple things that I do use to set up. I do prefer the machine in a cabinet, so everything is flush and level. The machine is lower, so my hands are a little bit more at the moving level that I'm accustomed to, not so high up and eye level, like sometimes when you set a machine just on a table. But if that is your situation and your machine is on a table, there are work surfaces that will help extend the area around the needle to help support the quilt, and that is really key. Next, your straight stitch throat plate that came with your machine, put it on. It will make such a difference because you're moving your fabric left and right and everywhere in between. Now let's talk about machine settings. Start with a straight stitch and then come down to the bottom here where it says free motion. Now, right here is where you need to first select which foot you're going to be using. The first foot is a spring action foot, and that is one, it is an optional accessory, but it is the best one for free motion quilting. You can use your sensor Q foot. That is the foot that came for doing embroidery, but the spring foot, as you can see, is open and open to see where you're going. So that is ideal, but it is purchased separately at your Husqvarna Viking store. The second one on the list here is called floating or R foot. So this is the foot that came with this machine. So yes, you can free motion quilt without needing to buy any extra feet. To put this on, you do need to realize the little R that you see on this foot needs to be so you can read it. So there is a place to attach it. I have seen people put this on backwards, and yeah, it doesn't go that way. So just make sure your R is readable. You do need to disengage the dual feed, so make sure that has been removed and out of the way, and you can attach that. The third one is a ruler foot. So if you are going to be working with rulers, there is a foot to purchase, and then you would select that one. So I want you to listen, because when we choose the floating foot, did you hear that click? That's the feed dogs going down. So two things happen when we get into free motion. Number one, you pick your foot, the feed dogs go down, and then your machine knows that the foot is not going to come all the way down onto the bed of the machine. It knows that it needs to kind of come down and hover for free motion so your fabric can move underneath that. So that is what we're working with. On the floating foot, you do have the height adjustment, so you can actually adjust how far it comes down. If you're working on something that's a little bit thicker, you can raise it up, but you just want to make sure that the fabric is not being held back as you move it around. So free motion is set for that. Let's talk needles real quick. I am a fan of top stitch needles when free motion quilting. It just works so much better. On a top stitch needle, there is a groove down the front of your needle. You can almost feel it with your fingernail. Well, on a top stitch needle, it's actually deeper and will help hold and hug that thread and protect it as you're going through all the layers. When you're done, go ahead and uncheck the foot that you have selected for free motion options. You'll know you're out of it because your regular foot shows back up and then you can just close that down and you'll be back to stitching whichever stitch you're going to sew next. So just remember, the feed dogs will go up and down for you, which I love, and it will pretty much kind of set everything up for you as you go. I do sometimes need to adjust my tension for free motion quilting, again, depending on the type of thread you have in your needle and your bobbin. So look on the back if you find that it isn't as balanced as you were hoping it to be. Usually on this machine, I do increase, so higher number, increase the tension up, and there's nothing wrong with that. It will just make the stitch on the back look identical to the stitch on the front. So continue to increase your tension until you cannot tell what side you have stitched from. That's the goal of good looking stitching for free motion quilting. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, make sure you're clicking like on each video you watch. That is your way of saying thank you for the information, and you can click the playlist right here at the end and start watching all the videos for free, and check out all of our online courses that we have in the description below. Happy sewing!